Now we are in Champion Select for what will be the final series of the day here on European LCS 1. And already the bans are quickly coming out for both teams.
All right, so Braum targeted towards Hustlin. He has played that single game. And of course, Caitlyn taken off the table. Just one of those top tier ADCs, still on 6-11, same patch as last week. No major shifts that we've seen, at least in my opinion, throughout the course of the day.
I feel like we have to see a Bard ban coming out towards Mikyx. If Giants saw the game last week, they will realize how powerful he can be at setting up plays around the map. And Bard, such an incredibly strong champion right now. It's something that, in my opinion, Giants need to put a lot of emphasis on.
Especially when you see the rest of the, support bans on the side of Splyce. That sort of, I know Trundle is primarily a top laner now, but Karma, Braum off the table. The pool is being pinched, and the final ban, Bard. So jungle untouched, and I wonder where Trashy and Maxlore will go. First pick, Olaf. What do you make of that?
That was a quick first pick. Now, this is very interesting because we have seen Olaf in the jungle as well as top lane. SONSTAR did bring it out in the top earlier on, whereas we have also seen it from...
Didn't Reignover played in the jungle
Immortals,
last week?
That's the team, yes. Immortals were the team that brought it out. So you have that flexibility with the Olaf. Considered to be okay, especially if you go for the Cinderhulk pick. Doesn't quite have the same early aggression that you can have with a Kindred and Nidalee, so you can still get pushed around in the early game if you don't respect that, but he scales very well.
So you're feeling it might be in the jungle this early in the draft? I mean, the flex is a possibility, but I always tend to feel if another laner in the region has played it, maybe that's where it could go. If for example, Splyce have scrimmed against SOA as an Origin, maybe. But I'm also implying things I don't know either, so...
See, I was really hoping that we saw an LCK the other day, I think it was yesterday, a Hecarim come out, and I thought, oh, maybe Giants will pull out the Hecarim into Olaf. But with the Nidalee coming out, it does suggest that Maxlore is saying, right, I want to match this potential early aggression, and I want to be able to push this Olaf around. But based on the summoner spells, to me it does suggest that it is this Olaf in the top lane. It's going to be a very similar play style to what we saw from SONSTAR earlier, just sitting in a lane, a side lane, and basically setting up that 1-4 or 1-3-1 split push setup that we've seen so much throughout the last few years.
Yeah, and we'll see how Wunder can handle himself. Was the recipient of a lot of criticism for his performance in Spring Spot, has started to be the frontliner that Splyce need. Maxwell, by the way, Nidalee is his most played jungler, has played it 3 times, 2 victories under his belt. As we see his opposition Splyce, they've got themselves Fizz, they've got themselves Ezreal. So that's a very slippery team composition already. It's difficult to stick to all 3 of those champions.
It certainly is, and it does seem that I was a bit preemptive, saying that the Olaf is likely to go top. The summoner spell's baiting me just a little bit. So it is still a flex pick right now. The worst part about this for Giants is the Fizz can even be a flex pick in its own right. In the Challenger series, we actually saw Fizz in the jungle. Fizz in the mid lane can still be a thing, or you can put Fizz up in the top. So a lot of flexibility right now for Splyce, but just as you say, there is a lot of slipperiness to it. But what it's also very good at is diving onto the backline. When you have an Olaf and you have a Fizz, that immediately spells to me, I want to get onto your AD carry and I want to kill them as quickly as possible.
And a lot of pressure to find that AD carry. 3 seconds left before Giants lock in their duo. The Nami and Lucian is secured. So, again, some more versatility. Long-range CC. But Lucian, we're seeing less and less of him these days. Obviously, since he got hit by that nerf bat. AD carries are slightly more opposed. But there's still no frontline for Giants. No tank. But there is a lot of options available for Smitty to lock in this last rotation.
There certainly are. It largely depends on what Giants want to go towards. They have quite good... The problem I have with Giants' composition right now is you have Azir and you have Nidalee. So that spells to me, you want to keep your opponents at arm's length. You're very much about the poke style of play, because once you hit the mid to late game and you've got that first item, maybe the second one as well, you're going to be doing a lot of long-range damage, and then you put a Lucian in there. Now, if you go for the Black Cleaver Ghostblade build, then you can do a fair amount of damage with your culling, but you're still in naturally a short-range AD carry. And that's made even worse with the nerfs that Lucian had to his Q on 6-11. So I feel like putting the Lucian in this composition is more of a comfort pick for SONSTAR, giving him a lot of mobility, giving room to make sort of good mid-game plays. But in terms of how it fits in the overall goals of Giants comp, it doesn't really make much sense.
So more challenges then to watch how SONSTAR plays the team fights. and whether or not he can keep his opponents at arm's reach. We didn't touch on the Rek'Sai and Thresh that have now been confirmed for Splyce. So they're going to have that tanky jungler. It will be confirming that Olaf in the top lane for us, and Thresh support. So a lot of pick potential really across this entire composition, as well as a very, very scary run-at-you type of team comp.
Certainly looks like a 1-3-1 coming out from Splyce right now. They can either do it with the Fizz or the Rek'Sai. They have plenty of options, but when you have the Ezreal and the Thresh as well, you also have quite a good safety net for setting up that 3-man in the mid. So Splyce, win conditions fairly clear. They want to be going for a fairly passive early game, want to set themselves up nicely, may very well go for an early lane swap to guarantee themselves that 1-3-1 setup. Whereas Giants, they're going for a pretty hardcore teamfight comp.
And if there's one thing that we have learned after 2 weeks of watching Splyce, and we've had the pleasure of casting quite a few of their games, Splyce like to win by picking people off.
They certainly do.
They've now built an entire team composition, potentially to their team's biggest strengths.
Yep.
On the other side, Giants, they're a team still trying to, I think, solidify their identity. That's something that I feel is fair of this young squad. But all eyes on Knight. This Azir, he can be so impactful with the Emperor's Divide. Try and space, try and zone these team fights.
The thing Knight has to be very cautious of is not being too aggressive, because now he's gained the confidence on stage. He's more willing to participate in these team fights. He is willing to make those plays, but sometimes he can be a little bit too overeager and it can backfire in his face. So as long as he restrains his aggression and he pays more attention to the positioning of his team and his opponents, he could be the key to Giants' success.
All right, key to unlocking a victory here for Giants, maybe picking up some more points. There's the team compositions on your screens. Be sure to jump on Twitter, tweet at LOL eSports with the hashtags SPYWin or GIAWin. Let us know who you think is going to pick up a win. Coming into the week, these were the two teams that were sort of tied for 5th and 7th. So in that danger zone of avoiding playoffs and not making playoffs. So there's a lot to play for here.
That certainly is. And I'm actually really excited for this matchup. I think that this will be a really good indicator, especially as to where Giants right now fall on the standings. If they even just take one game off of Splyce, to me it suggests that they're heading around like middle lower of the pack, and if they can straight up 2-0 Splyce, then Giants perhaps solidifying themselves as a middle of the pack team. So yeah. I think it's quite exciting to see, and for Splyce, we're going to see if they can maintain their consistency, because they have been arguably getting better and better each week. They've identified their weaknesses in terms of, okay, we're actually quite bad at setting up team fights. And what we saw last week, especially Sencux on his Anivia, they were playing team fights so much better than they were in week 1.
I'm actually glad you brought the spotlight to Sencux, because he's got the teleport flash Fizz. His lane opponent will have some advantages in the opening levels. But once Sencux gets closer to kill potential, especially with a Rek'Sai and with that global summoner spell, I think there's a little bit more pressure on him this game to step up and keep the Azir down, because if he doesn't, Knight is going to have so much room for growth and all this headroom. He's already shown us how impactful that Azir can be on the stage.
It wouldn't surprise me if Trashy invests some of his early game presence towards the mid, trying to help out Sencux get through what is considered a very rough laning phase. But Sencux, he doesn't care. He just wants to be hyper-aggressive already.
Yeah, goes in with a playful trickster. I think comes away just slightly ahead in that trade. The Corrupting Potion is going to be helping him out. Oh, Mikyx going to steal away one of the Krugs and just be a nuisance in the jungle.
So what Giants need to do now is they very quickly need to move away. Wunder actually taking a lot of damage in the 2 versus 1 down in the bottom lane, but Knight taking exactly the same in the mid as well. So a lot of skirmishing going on all across the map. But Mikyx, what he did, the lane swap come out from Splyce. They wanted to avoid the 2 versus 2 against SONSTAR and Hustlin, but they actually took Wunder away from the Maokai matchup, which typically does go in the Olaf's favor. But it does seem that Giants quickly responding to this early pressure coming out from Splyce. And I'm actually surprised to see Maxlore not rotating around to the enemy red. And in fact, he's actually going to take his own. So Maxlore not caving under the pressure of Mikyx, and it looks like he's still going to get all of his buff.
Yeah, he may even be able to come out ahead. We'll see how many of those camps he can secure. Swaps to the Cougar form. We caught a glimpse there of Wunder teleporting up to the top lane. Going to be helping out Splyce take the tower. I feel like they may get this tower down first, though to be honest, it's not going to be a big difference in tempo. And we need to evaluate what goes next. Here's Trashy trying to invade the strong side of the Splyce jungle. But yeah, kudos to Maxlore for securing the objective.
So if you're at home and trying to set up this sort of lane swap, what you need to do on if you're in Mikyx's position is walk deep into the enemy jungle and make sure you drop your trinket down to guarantee that half of the map belongs to you. Because Maxlore, he realized that Mikyx wasn't continuing on his aggression, so Maxlore could finish up the Raptors. He knew that he was safe because he was able to take the entire camp, and because there was no additional pressure coming out from Mikyx, he could then rotate up, take himself the red buff, and he might be able to get all 3 buffs away from Splyce. So this is why that deep vision is very important early on.
And such a big deal as well for a very early rotation Nidalee. On the Giants side, they invested their first rotation to Azir and Nidalee. So if Maxlore can get off to a good start and farm his way to a powerful position, that's a good sign for the Giants squad. SONSTAR, wow, he's going to dash forward. Wunder forced a ghost. A lot of early damage.
Certainly was. Wunder not really respecting SONSTAR coming down into lane. He even knew it was coming. He wanted to try and get as much farm as he could, get the push going so that it would be it would take a little bit longer for Giants to get to the turret, but they misplayed it ever so slightly. And Wunder now not only losing his ghost, but he's going to be forced back, and this really could hurt the tempo of Splyce in the early game.
Luckily, Wunder's got a few extra CS over SmittyJ. So Smitty's still looking to pick up something under his tower as he's in trouble. And talking about CS, there is a gigantic advantage for Knights. 33-18, that is a great CSD, but I think expected in the matchup.
It certainly is. You have a range advantage with the Azir versus Fizz. Fizz definitely can be powerful in the early game, but what you have to do is you have to commit a lot of resources to close the gap when you're going up against an Azir. And so that means that when you try to retreat back in the lane, that's when Azir then starts to pounce. So as long as you, as the Azir player, don't panic, and you realize, okay, the Fizz is coming in, he's going to get a bit of damage out, and then he's going to retreat, and then you punish him on the retreat, you will typically come out ahead in the exchange. So that is what's happening right now, and that is why Sencux constantly being forced under his turret is why he's at such a big CS disadvantage.
All right, at what point does Sencux get any help? Maybe after these next towers fall. We've seen quite a few teams infrequently going for like a mid lane gank after they've taken the second tower on the lane swap. But the problem is Splyce are behind the tempo. Giants, they've already taken the second tower. SONSTAR and Hustlin, they're basically head-to-head with Wunder, and we'll be in a moment. So, again, advantages here for Giants. They're just ahead of the plays.
The big thing for me is, have a look at SONSTAR. He's actually at about 2 waves down behind Kobbe, which, given that Giants have typically actually been ahead in terms of the tempo, quite surprises me that SONSTAR is actually the target to fall behind right now. So this could, in the long run, hurt them overall if that Lucian can't take advantage of his big mid-game spike over the Ezreal. That could be a point that Splyce, could actually take advantage of that, because that Ezreal is going to scale very hard towards the late game.
I feel like it'll take a little while longer though, right? Like 1-item Ezreal, I think is less scary than 1-item Lucian.
Definitely the case. I mean, the Lucian in the mid-game is where he's going to be the most powerful. The Black Cleaver Ghostblade is still very, very strong in the Lucian, even after the nerfs. But the big difference compared to 6'10 Lucian and what he is now is that he doesn't have as big of a window to punish his opponents. And what an Ezreal can do, if he already has the advantage in the early on, he can reach that late game point sooner, and that's when the Lucian starts to fall.
We'll find out if he does, right? Like SONSTAR been playing quite aggressive, just a few CS down. Support here for Splyce in the jungle, but Maxlore was actually clearing those Krugs out. Maxlore's already farmed an additional 8 monsters from the jungle, which Trashy is trying to catch up, one of which is an extra... Is it an epic monster, the red buff? I don't know if he is epic.
No.
He's not epic. It's only Baron and Dragon, right?
And Rift Herald.
And Rift Herald, right.
But I actually really like this play from Maxlore in the bottom half of the jungle, because he realized that SONSTAR and Hustlin wanted to shove the wave underneath the turret of Splyce. And so he just hung around the bottom half of the map. He wanted to make sure that because they were overextended, they weren't susceptible to any ganks from Trashy, and that's why you're seeing all these very deep wards coming out from Maxlore, going for a very early tracker's knife and just saying, all right, guys, I'm going to make sure that you're safe, and that deep vision. But someone who might not be safe
is SmittyJ. Gonna flash over the unburrowed. Trashy follows suit, but this should be a fairly easy kill. Smitty, no access to Vengeful Maelstrom. One Vengeful Strike comes down. Vicious strike, rather. Fairly easy kill.
So that's what happens when you overextend past the river and you don't have the support from your jungler. That is exactly what Maxlore was trying to avoid in the bottom half of the map, and while he was successful there, he wasn't able to replicate the process in the top half, and that resulted in SmittyJ giving over a very clean kill to Splyce. So
and that's terrifying as well. Like an early kill to an Olaf, one of the champions who can truly ruin your day if he gets ahead. And Wunder's got himself in a great position. The farm alarm, just to defend the large raptor, as Maxlore cleared away the mini raptors. And no real priority on that mountain drake. Been up for a little while. And it is one of the drakes that is more hotly contested because of the impact on those objectives.
Yeah, so we were looking at a couple of cool dragon stats the other day, and Ocean and Mountain were typically the dragons that you would see taken the earliest, with Fire quickly, or Infernal even quickly following after, and that's typically because of how contested that Infernal Drake is. So wouldn't be surprised to see either team play for that objective, but you don't really want to invest too many resources because that 10% additional damage to epic monsters isn't that powerful on its own.
Yeah, not by itself. We need a couple extra stacks. Looking at the mini-map, Trashy's coming in for a gank. Sencux sends out Chum the Waters, and Knight, he whiffs the Emperor's Divide, sends the Sand Soldiers forward though, and is able to survive with his life. SmittyJ cancels the TP as well.
Big misplay from Might. Not only burning both of his summoner spells, but also missing the ultimate, results in Sencux only having to burn his flash to get away from that. You also actually burn the teleport away from SmittyJ, and that's actually a lot of resources lost now for Giants, resulting in them not really having as much pressure around the map. And as I say that, Trashy may be looking for a gank in the bottom lane, but he is still very mindful of the potential positioning of Maxlore.
All right, so Vedius, give me a TLDR here. We've got Wunder and Olaf, who's +8 CS over SmittyJ. Not too bad. Different story elsewhere on the map. Nearly 40 CS down is Sencux's Fizz, but that is only mirrored by the +30 CS of Kobbe. So where do you rank the power when you see these massive shifts and swings in CS and gold?
Well, in the mid game, the power will definitely be in the favor of Giants. Azir only really needs one item to be effective. It looks like he's going for the Abyssal Scepter, which still has its merits. Definitely not as power as perhaps the Nash's Tooth in the mid game, but you will have that flat ability power. And look at Knight, he doesn't have flash.
No, he doesn't. The slide and glide is not enough distance, but there's support from Maxlore. A pounce forward into a flash from Mikyx. He puts the box down, and Maxlore gives up his life as well. Splyce get 2.
And that was just a big misplay from Knight. He shouldn't have been that overextended in the lane. He didn't have the vision control in the bottom half of the map, and it was just a clean gank from Splyce. And this was something that we were discussing earlier on doing Champion Select, that Knight, he needs to be mindful of his over-aggression. You have a big lead during the laning phase. You have a good advantage. You can't afford to push that too much because it can end up backfiring horribly.
And all of the deep vision in the bottom quadrant of the jungle had timed out, so Knight was even pushing on the weak side, just gets punished.
Yeah, it was just a very clean gank coming out from Splyce. All 4 members, there was no way that Maxlore could turn that around. Did have his flash, and that's why he decided to go back in a little bit aggressively, because he felt like he could flash out, maybe pick himself up a kill in return, but didn't end up working out, and now 3-0 in favor of Splyce. About 1,000 gold lead in the head, and right now they're finding the picks that they so love.
Absolutely, and more importantly, I feel, is keeping Sencux a little closer to being relevant. Despite being down 40 CS, 2 assists on the board. It equates to about 550 gold. There's 2 stacks on that Dark Seal, so Sencux, despite being behind, he's getting a small helping hand from the rest of the team.
And that's what they want overall with their composition. You have a 1-3-1 setup from Splyce. You put Wunder in a side lane, you put Sencux in a side lane. Both have teleports available. Have a look at Maxlore, though.
He put the pink ward down, so was able to spot out SONSTAR and Maxlore, so maybe lucky, maybe timing. Gets away with his life for that playful trickster. Trashy just clearing out the jungle. You know, Splyce, it's an interesting start to the game, but they're punishing Giants' mistakes. SmittyJ was overextended, got taken down for it. Knight, riskily pushing a lane, gets punished for it. And those could be the difference makers as Dragon has been started by Giants.
Well, there's good vision from Splyce. They know that this is happening right now, and you just talked about Giants' mistakes being punished. But the question is, how are Splyce going to be able to punish this Mountain Drake? It is the hardest Drake to kill, but look at this, the collapse coming in from Splyce.
There is 2 teleports available for Splyce, but it's SmittyJ who pulls the trigger first. Sand Soldier's coming in from the side of Knight. Maxlore's already killed before anything else can happen. Sencux gets dropped down as Trashy's forced to flash away defensively. Needs to burrow for HP, won't be able to. Giants get their first 2 kills on the board. Tidal Wave sends up 2 members of Splyce. But Giants, they punish the over-aggression of Splyce.
So as you mentioned, 2 teleports available from Splyce, yet it was Giants that were the ones to pull the trigger and force that fight immediately. Yes, Sencux, you're able to get so much damage down in your team fight, but it just wasn't enough because the response from Giants was just too good that enabled them to actually come out ahead in that fight. They don't decide to get themselves the Mountain Drake. They're very cautious of the damage that Wunder and Kobbe have, as well as the teleport available on Sencux. So no objective gained, but the fact that Giants get themselves a couple kills is going to be pretty good for them in the early game. So just have a look at this setup. You can see Trashy wants to go for the play, but the first teleport does come in from SmittyJ. And Maxlore, yes, he ends up dropping, but what you do is you split up the team from Splyce because they have committed so hard onto getting this kill deep into Giants' jungle that there's no real way for the rest of Splyce to follow up, and that enables Giants to get themselves 2 kills.
2 splits up, you know, Giants, they were able to fight 4v1 by one as Splyce just filtered through the channel.
The 300 method.
That's it. Got punished for it. Now look, Splyce still have 2 teleports available. We're approaching 15 minutes in. And this dragon has stayed alive longer than any other first dragon today. I got a note from our stats bender that once that Mountain Drake is eventually killed, he's lived a longer first life. Interesting, Vedius, because these 2 teams are just preoccupied in their lanes.
And another interesting thing is we've actually seen a lot more prioritization on the Rift Herald today. We saw the fastest taken at 11 minutes and 5 seconds earlier on in Rocket's game. So the fact that teams are shifting towards prioritizing that objective is quite interesting, but neither Giants or Splyce have put any priority on that. And given that we do have an Olaf who is already 1-0-0 with a Black Cleaver, I'm a little bit surprised because I do feel like for Splyce, it would be a very good objective for them to pick up.
Yeah, and there's so many different factors to take into consideration. The CS differences this game, the picking overextended players off. I'll expand on that thought in a moment. Mikyx trying to zone away Giants and Dragon. Uncontested here from Giants. They're simply too late to the party. And Splyce picked that one up at 15 minutes and 40 seconds.
That was actually very smart from Giants to let that Dragon go, simply due to the double teleports available from Splyce. SmittyJ used his teleport earlier on, and because of that, if Giants tried to force a fight there, Wunder could join, SmittyJ could not. So they just decided, we'll concede the first Mountain Drake, it's absolutely fine, and hey, look, we spawned a Cloud Drake next, so things can only go up from here.
We'll see if anyone's going to try look for that one. I'm still tracking these CS differences. Sencux, down 40, Kobbe, plus 40. And Wunder's been able to climb up to plus 20, but he shoved multiple waves into Smitty. Smitty's going to be able to catch a few of these.
At least they're consistent.
Yeah.
They're a consistent 40 CS deficit. I mean,
is that a good thing? Is that a good thing?
I mean, like,
because you're painting this in a good way.
It's just like, hey, I know you're 40 CS down, but as long as you stay at 40 CS down and you don't make it worse, that's kind of the bright side. But I'm really confused as to how actually Kobbe was able to build this lead, because the lane swaps are very even. It shouldn't have happened. We'll have to go back and watch it later, as both teams right now posturing around the mid, potentially looking for a fight.
And Kobbe's not so quietly growing to be the sort of primary carry on the Splyce squad.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, he steps up, he performs on the stage, and we start throwing our eyes his way. And look, it is against Giants. They're not the strongest team in the league, but you still got to give some credit. So this Ezreal, plus 50 CS now.
Right, well, there goes my bright side out the window.
Yeah, you know. But look, Giants are still in this. They're only down 1,000 gold. And I think the most important member of their team composition, the Azir, is the guy who's winning his lane very heavily.
He certainly is. And we're now approaching the mid-game point. Typically, this is where you have the big item spike with either your first major item or even your second major item. And it's all about that Black Cleaver Ghostblade combo for SONSTAR. And it looks like Knight did decide to deviate towards the Nash's Tooth. It's the problem with having every item build. Cooldown reduction in the mid lane now is actually very difficult to assess. What mid laners are going to go for? He is actually going to go for Merc Treads, so that's actually quite interesting. Personally, I'm not a fan of Merc Treads on mid laners because it's kind of the idea of putting defensive boots on an AD carry. Typically, you'd rely on your positioning, so you shouldn't be getting caught out to need the tenacity. And even if you do, you're so squishy anyway, I doubt the tenacity would help you very much from being one-shot by a Fizz. But Knight's decided that he wants to be aggressive, he wants to go on the front line, and that tenacity will help him out.
We'll find out if he can actually get away from the CS. I think that's going to be the key. Because that mid lane continues to be under siege. 1, 2, 3 members of Splyce grouped around. The 2 guys with teleport pushing top and bottom respectively. And actually no additional towers have fallen since the 5.5 minute mark when those outer turrets dropped. 6 minute marks there or thereabouts.
But this is really good for Splyce right now because they've got the 1-3-1 that they wanted. They had a nice early game. They had the kill advantage, they have the gold advantage. Sencux, having completed his Lich Bane, is going to be strong, but SONSTAR...
He's in trouble. Chum the Waters is flashed away from SONSTAR with the reflexes. Here comes Maxlore, SmittyJ with a long-range twisted advance. Giants get their 3rd kill of the game.
Really nice response from Giants to prevent that gank from coming out against SONSTAR. Really clutch flash to avoid both the Chum the Waters and the knockup from Trashy, and to be able to get a kill right there is absolutely phenomenal from Giants. Maxlore, he might want to go for a little bit more, but have a look at this. They've stopped the 1-3-1. They know they have the numbers advantage. Knight is very strong right now, and they want to try and push this advantage in the mid.
Yeah, and of course for Giants, I think this is so important. They've been able to survive 20 minutes of gameplay against 2 teleports and not been under pressure. Maybe that's you know, more of a criticism on the Splyce comp, especially when you look at the farm alarm. Well, look at that. Trashy interrupts the pounce from Maxlore. Maxlore may find himself in front of a very angry Viking. Ghost has been used, throws out the undertow. The bubble went completely the wrong direction. Hustlin forced a flash. Knight knocks back Trashy. He gets a high flyer miles for that one. Eats the bubble as well and the tidal wave. And Giants combo to get another kill.
Trashy again. The target getting caught out. He was not expecting Knight to be there to throw that ultimate out and knock him underneath the turret, but Knight, he could be in some trouble.
Oh, look at that fancy footwork. Sidesteps the shark and slides away with the soldiers, but the tower's still under pressure.
Really good play from Knight to not only avoid the Chum the Waters, but also get out of that dangerous situation. And right now, Giants, they've finally gone themselves the gold lead. Not only were they able, during that whole kerfuffle, were able to push the side lanes, but they're now also able to hold down the mid. So Giants, we're getting a replay. You can see really nice response from Giants. That also could have been a horrible interaction where you get the knock-up from the wall and the actual... The tidal wave interrupts the knockback, so he doesn't actually get thrown by the wall. But fortunately, they timed it well, and they were able to get themselves the kill. So, do want to give a bit of credit to Hustlin. Someone we haven't talked about at all has actually been the silent, solid performer on Giants. And looking back at his win, especially against UOL, he was very solid. He wasn't making standout plays. He wasn't falling behind, but he was just always there when you needed it.
Yeah. And he's going to need to be there a lot. Can't afford those mistake bubbles the later this game goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially against champions like Fizz and Ezreal and Olaf. You're not going to get multiple chances to tag them. Especially true if Wunder's got that ultimate available to him. Who, by the way, we've not touched on. Black Cleaver and Spirit Visage. Ruby Crystal, Cloth Armor, so he's getting beefy.
Ouch is how I would define that.
Yep, that was pretty painful. But Mickey was just trying to set up the chain. Didn't work. Took a slap in the face for that one.
It just like Sandsor just giving him a cheeky slap in the face. No, bad Solid. Right now, Giants setting up for the Cloud Drake. We all know how enthusiastic both teams are about picking up this objective, and I think what's on their mind is what's going to be next on our Cloud Drake lottery. So taking that dragon away is definitely still a nice objective to have, especially when you get that Elder Drake. If you can.
Looking at Mikyx Thresh this game, he's not had the same, I think, mid-game impact that he did last week. Maxlore's in trouble, gets knocked up, but there's an early kill onto Mikyx. Maxlore forced to run for his life. Look at the backline. Here comes Wunder and Sencux. SONSTAR flashes and dashes and stays alive. Continues to run before Sencux takes him down. The Urchin Strike flies forward. Sencux, playful, Trickster is in trouble. 200 hit points, manages to walk away with his life. Wunder's being tagged by the tower as SmittyJ is looking for one. The pounce from Maxlore closes him out. It's a 2 for 3.
Giants just about able to get themselves a return kill on the backline, but Splyce, they want to continue on with their aggression. They got a lot of damage down onto SmittyJ, but it looks like Splyce, oh, they want to go for a bit more.
Not done yet. Kobbe's looking for Smitty, doesn't find the kill. Quick update there. Welcome to everybody from EU LCS 2. Here our match of the week has wrapped up. Splyce were in control of the early game before Giants found some crucial picks to even out the control. And hopefully you just caught most of that team fight, which Vedius has led to Splyce getting the dragon.
It does look like that. So Splyce, fortunately we have the replay if you did miss it. Giants were on the aggressive. They did not respect the double teleport flank. And because of that, they end up getting collapsed on. Maxlore takes a lot of damage. Knight sitting on the front line gets chunked out by that Chum the Waters. SONSTAR gets collapsed on by both Wunder and Sencux. And this is something that we discussed during the Champion Select. Splyce's comp was all about diving onto that backline. They basically said, I want to kill your AD carry as fast as possible, and they did just that. And when you have so much mobility from this Ezreal constantly keeping his distance, it basically just becomes a situation where Giants are just trying to run away from this duo powerhouse of Sencux and Wunder.
And that triple kill that Sencux picked up actually puts him on even gold with Knight. Despite that CS difference, Abyssal Scepter, Lichbane, and a lot of squishy targets to chew through. Until those hourglasses are picked up for Maxlore and Knight, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Chum the Waters, not the greatest damage, but it allows Splyce to control the mid lane. Javelin toss comes down. Maxlore, he's pounced in. Sencux, playful Trickster's up into the Lantern. Not going to be enough, though. Good death sentence onto Maxlore will allow Kobbe to find the kill. But Knight's Sand Soldiers are tearing through Splyce's hit points. The Piercing Light picks up a kill for SONSTAR as Mickey's in trouble. Wunder, where are you? Simply not with Splyce. Double kill for SONSTAR. And Wunder's left wanting.
And this game is all about not respecting the teleports. This time it was Giants setting up the teleport play. They get themselves the flank and they get themselves 3 kills. Sencux, you had a triple kill and you've just thrown that gold advantage away as Giants, they look to take a tier 2 for themselves.
Yeah, they're not done. They don't have a huge minion line to work with though. Albeit Splyce can't necessarily wave clear. Wunder finally arrives. One undertow as the tower falls. Giants regain control in a 3,000 gold lead.
They certainly do. Very back and forth game so far. Both teams optimizing those teleports whenever they see the opportunity. Sencux, he used that playful Trickster very early on, resulting in him taking a lot of damage. Beautiful tidal wave coming out from Hustlin to interrupt the full channel of the Lantern, and that buys enough time for both SmittyJ and SONSTAR to get onto the back line and pick themselves up a couple of extra kills. So Giants getting themselves 3 clean kills in favor of 1, resulting in them getting 2 tier 2 turrets in the mid and some really nice play overall.
And absolutely no doubt that SmittyJ's teleports have been more impactful than both of Splyce's TPs this game. 0-1-6 on that Maokai. You can hear Giants running for their lives. Knight almost caught out on screen. He's able to escape, picked up the Seeker's Arm Guard and an Amp Tome. So started that process of the Hourglass, which I think is going to be very, very important to buy some time.
I completely agree with you. You need those defensive stats to not only deal with the Fizz, but to deal with that onslaughting Olaf as well. So the Infernal Drake will beat the next Dragon. Likely to be the next point of contention as well, because both teams, they want to pick up that additional 8% AP and AD. And as we're moving towards the later stages of the mid-game, where most players have picked themselves up their 2 items, some have even picked up 3 items, this is where these team fights are really going to start to swing in one team's favor.
Yeah, that Dragon should spawn shortly after 29 minutes. And looking at some of the power items picked up, Smitty, Sunfire plus Spirit Visage. Talking about SONSTAR rather, Black Cleaver, Ghostblade, Rapid Fire Cannon, Muramana, Blade of the Ruin King, and Iceborne Gauntlet. That is a terrifying Ezreal.
Yep.
Especially in prolonged team fights.
and it's going to be really hard to lock him down as well. When you only have a Maokai, unless you can force him to burn his Arcane Shift very early on, he just has so much mobility and so much kiting that it's going to be so difficult with Giants lineup to actually lock him down. So Kobbe likely to be the final target of focus. They have to hit through the front line. You have to kill Wunder, you have to kill Sencux, and then you look for the cleanup.
Luckily for Giants, Wunder and Sencux will not be standing on the front line. They'll be running to the back line. So Splyce have to execute this team composition and their team fights near perfect, because they will leave a lot of openings in terms of their, their grouping.
That is a big thing about playing with an Olaf in particular. Because your ultimate allows you to ignore all crowd control and you have a ghost as well, sometimes you forget that your team can't run as fast as you. It's like the Jarvan effect where you flash, EQ, ult, and then you're like, guys, I forced a fight, and then you're like, team? Where have you gone? And then that's something that can often happen with Olaf, and it will result in a big divide happening between you and your team where you have SmittyJ holding off 3, maybe even 4 members, and that just means that the rest of the Giants lineup can just kill Wunder. So they have to be mindful of that. Splyce trying to set up a play around the Baron, but good vision control from Giants means that they're not going to be able to pick that
What
one.
I do like from Splyce is Wunder's down in that bottom lane. He's pushing up. He's going to pick a fight with SmittyJ, who's got a level advantage over Wunder. And Wunder's actually not going to commit much longer. So the Baron forcing Giants' hands, pulling Giants towards Splyce, and then Splyce being forced to peel away. There we go, 25 seconds till Infernal Drake. There's not a lot of vision really at all, because I think the threat of Baron is looming as we approach 30 minutes.
Certainly is. Notice the Giants have set up a defensive ward line in their half of the jungle. They want to be mindful if Splyce go for those deep aggressive wards, because if they do, that is a strong indicator that Splyce want a hard commit to the Baron, because if they have that deep vision, it means they can see where Giants are and how quickly they are reacting to the Baron. So Giants just preemptively setting up for Splyce's potential Baron play.
So, hitting nearly 30 minutes. I've got a bit of a pet peeve when teams have double teleports and it doesn't look like they're trying to create situations to use those teleports, with vision or plays on multiple side lanes. And I just don't think they've been particularly impactful this game.
And to make that even worse, your Fizz has a teleport, yet he's still 90 CS behind Knight. I mean, you can literally just put him in a side lane, he can soak up a lot of the farm, and he can close the gap that has been created. Fortunately, in terms of gold, they're still relatively even. You can see in terms of the items, they are a little bit behind. Sencux is about half an item behind. But the fact that they haven't been optimizing these teleports, it looks like they're trying to change that right now.
Yeah, feels that way. All right, now remember, Splyce looking to dive the backline with Olaf and Fizz. This is a potential pincer moment. The Dragon's already gone. Splyce, they're too late to the party. They simply cannot contest. Giants will back away. Golf claps deserved for that one, because it was, well, honestly, it was just deleted.
It certainly was. This is mid to late game Azir. 3 items done. Royal Eyes, Nash's Tooth, as well as the Zhonya's mean that you have cooldown reduction for days. And not only that, you're also going to be hitting pretty hard. So something that not only is great for taking objectives, but is also great in these mid to late game team fights. Then this really is where Giants are at a big power point. They need to be mindful though, because this Lucian build will definitely start to fall off. I tend to be quite hesitant with the word fall off, because it doesn't mean he's useless, but it's just not as effective as, say, something like the Essence Reaver build would typically be.
I think that's fair. Like the potential with your itemization choices.
Yes.
And potential aplenty. Giants have started Baron. It's already below 50% hit points. The True Shot Barrage will tag multiple members of Giants. But again, too late to the party. Splyce, you did not read your invite time. Hustlin's going to go down, turn to Sushi as Maxlore's pouncing for his life. Finds the passive speed from the bushes. Smitty forced to flash over the wall. Trashy's looking for a knockup, but he'll get knocked down. It's SONSTAR that gets the kill. Here comes Kobbe. The shutdown kill goes golden as Sencux and Knight are caught in the middle of the fight. It's a double kill for Sencux. The death sentence sends SmittyJ packing, and Splyce ace Giants.
So even though Giants get themselves the Baron, they do not get themselves the fight, and it results in Splyce getting a 1 for 5, and they're likely going to get an inhibitor off the back of this. Very clean fight coming out from Splyce, taking advantage of the fact that Giants just split up and panicked after taking that Baron.
The entire damage component of Splyce is still standing, and they're on the inhibitor turret. Tidal Wave will buy some time. that may have just saved a Nexus turret, as Splyce will get the inhibitor and most likely back away. But what a big swing in control here as Giants look to take control, and unfortunately completely lost it at the same time.
The plan was good. The execution was good. It was the follow-up that went short for Giants. Just have a look at this. Very decisive to set up the play. The ultimate went on to Hustlin, but then the team just splits up. Maxlore, he's trying to run away with 3 members of Giants still stuck in the pit, and this is not what you want to be doing. You either have to commit to a fight, or you just commit to the disengage, and they just seemed split. They couldn't decide what they wanted to do. And with the front line gone for Giants, and with SmittyJ basically being ignored, it is so easy for Sencux to just roll over the rest of Giants. Really unfortunate for Giants, but such great execution overall from Splyce to enable themselves to get that ace and get that inhibitor.
You notice that when Giants are running for their lives and that kind of skirmish-style team fight happens with multiple touch points across the jungle, that's when Splyce thrive.
Exactly.
They leave Olaf on one side, Fizz on the other, let their mobility just clean up. But all it actually does for Splyce is it evens out the gold, and it's bought them some time because Giants have to deal with the super minions now.
The thing that scares me the most for Giants is that Ezreal, who now having completed his 4th item, working towards that 5th, which is having already completed the Hex Drinker, likely to be the Maw of Malmortius after that. This Ezreal is just so strong. I can't see a way for Giants to effectively deal with it.
I like the fact that SONSTAR has picked up an Infinity Edge. If we're going to help him out with some damage, but no real survivability to speak of here, which is scary against an Olaf and a Fizz and a Rek'Sai.
He just wants to run really fast. That's
why
he's gone for the boots. Even though they have been nerfed, he values that mobility, and you have to remember that the Olaf's going to be throwing those axes at you. You want to be able to deal with it. Maxlore gets hooked up.
Yes, he does. There's no real damage from Splyce, though. He gets the tidal wave. True Shot Barrage flies across Giants, and Wunder and Sencux, they just continue to push those side lanes. So a few key ultimates actually burned there.
Who on Giants is going to be able to deal with Sencux at this point? Because SmittyJ, he can't handle 2 lanes. They have decided to send SONSTAR up as well as Hustlin to try and deal with Wunder, but SmittyJ, he gets to the bottom lane too late, and already this split push Fizz has now become a menace that Giants have no idea how to deal with.
And now Splyce have a very easy play pattern to make use of these teleports. Let the supers do the work in the mid lane, focus all your attention on the outer lanes, and press D to join a fight when necessary. I had to look which key it was on.
You could make it even worse for Giants as well, because you can actually send your 3 members into the mid, and you can have them pressure those Nexus turrets, and then you set up the 1-3-1 once again, and which Giants are then forced to just sit in their base, and that results in losing both their tier 2 turrets. But Splyce, they want to be a little bit more cautious. They want to go for the 1-4, but they actually just sent all 5 members up to the top half of the map. Feel like they missed a bit of an opportunity to get themselves a tier 2 turret in the top, and it's just going to result in a tier 2 turret in the bottom lane going in favor of Splyce.
I like some of the reservation, though, from Splyce. You know, they have the potential to tower dive, but you never want to tower dive at a Azir and a Maokai and a Nami. There's a lot of tools to deal with it, so playing it safe. Maybe wanting to play a little less safe, Guardian Angel.
On an Olaf. Oh man, there's nothing more terrifying than that. Not only is it hard enough to kill the Olaf, but then you have to kill him again. God, it's just so irritating, but somehow Splyce is going to have to find a way to deal with it.
They don't have a lot of time to figure it out because it's 20 seconds to Elder Drake. To be fair, only 3 dragons taken by 36 minutes. You know, the first dragon only fell at around like 15 or 16. It was very late in the game. Let's take a look at the setup. Again, I think very poor vision around the dragon. 2 fairly shallow wards for Splyce inside Giants jungle. As you can see, the vision being toggled there. But I do like seeing Wunder again pushing up in this top lane. I want to see if he can teleport to the right ward this time around, because the last time Splyce set this play up, it did not go very well for them.
It certainly did not. They need to make use of that double teleport that they have. But now SmittyJ also has his teleport available, so everything up right now for both teams. All the flashes are set for Mikyx, as well as all of the additional summoner spells mean that we are going to see a bloodbath of a fight if we do have it cut.
Oh, I'm going to hold you to that one. I really hope that we do. Because at 37 minutes in, the next big bloodbath determines the victor, I feel. Especially if you can get a clear, clean fight. Death sentence just short. Is Knights able to fly away to safety, reaching 5, 6 items for most of the sort of carry type roles. And heard a death sentence connect onto a minion there. Where is the Void Rush? Into the jungle. Giants have got position on the Elder Dragon.
They certainly do, and if they pick themselves up that Scuttle Crab, it's going to be very beneficial, not only in terms of the disengage potential, but also the natural vision that it provides. Something that Splyce will not be able to close out. The Baron is also spawning in 45 seconds, which means that that's another objective that both teams have to be very mindful of, and it's turning into a very tense game. The gold is very even, and what feels like Splyce have control of, when you actually look at the numbers, it's actually a much closer game than you think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's control to the same style that a bull rider controls a bull.
I can't say, but from someone that's never ridden a bull before, I can't.
Oh, I've never ridden a bull.
No?
But
You seem like the time traveler.
I wish. That's actually a very nice compliment. Thank you for that one. But it just feels like Splyce, they're at risk of being kicked off and taken down at any point. Late game Maokai, super tanky, got that Iceborne Gauntlet to boot. Knight's hit his 4th item, Void Staff as well.
So the players that I'm actually going to be keeping my close eye on will actually be the 2 junglers, because in the late game, junglers really struggle to have a big impact unless you're that big CC heavy sort of tank. With a Nidalee and a Rek'Sai, they have to be very mindful of the targets that they actually focus on. And so this will be something that we really need to keep our eyes on.
All right, let's keep our eyes on Baron. As Giants have started this, they're burning it down. It's below 50% hit points. Teleport is from SmittyJ. I think he's going to get in behind Splyce, but it might be too late. Maxlore's in trouble, but that's only the support. SmittyJ's caught in the middle of the Splyce team. Trashy's gone all the way forward. Doesn't really get the knockup that he wanted. Wunder's running for his life. Kobbe gets tagged by a javelin toss, and nobody has died yet. The bloodbath Vedius promised me has not come true. But the Baron stays standing. And Splyce are looking for position on an objective.
That would have been such a good fight for Giants if only they could lose aggro on the Baron, but he was doing so much damage on the backline. He was just doing as much as it could to make Giants' life difficult. And have a look at this. Another teleport coming out from Splyce. The response from Giants isn't fast enough, and it looks like Splyce are going to pick up this Elder Dragon.
Remember, SmittyJ teleported in behind Splyce. It's not available. Splyce are not killing this Elder Dragon incredibly quickly, which means Giants are going to get in range. Death Sentence has caught Maxlore. He's forced to pounce away. Has not got Flash available. He's in trouble. Chum the Waters does not find a Giants member, but the Death Sentence does. Wunder down to 1,000 hit points. Still got the GA available. He's running for his life, and the Conquering Shifting Sands cannot buy the control that Knight wants. Elder Dragon to Splyce.
So Giants, they tried to contest the Elder Dragon. They realized that they cannot afford to give that objective away, especially with the Man and Drake already picked up for Splyce, because it's going to help them take that Baron even quicker. But they're able to successfully disengage. And now, remember that the Elder Dragon is only about 2 minutes in duration, so Giants can stall this out with the Azir.
Yeah, they have to do that while stopping Baron and while dodging Mickey's death sentences. As we've gone later and later in the game, Mickey's finding more and more targets. There's a flash available. Death sentence is dashed away from as SONSTAR is able to avoid it. The Sun Disc goes down from Knight onto that outer turret. Look at the minimap. There are massive minion waves for Giants pushing into Splyce's territory. Baron has been started. This is risky indeed. Death sentence connects onto Maxlore once more. Splyce peel away. Tidal wave will split the fight. Wunder, remember, still has that GA. There has been tension for 10 minutes.
So tense.
But nothing has gone down.
I was just watching Knight being like, is he going to go for that really clutch 5-man ultimate? Like, they're all setting up in the Baron pit. This could be it, but he doesn't have his flash. He's very mindful, and we're at 41 minutes into the game. One wrong move can result in the game being over for you, and Giants are the ones to kick off the Baron.
Giants, they've started. Remember, they've got way more damage. 6,000 HP on Baron. It's going to get helped out by QuickShot. Sencux forced to run away. Chum the Waters will chunk down Knight. He's caught by the Flay. Forced to dash away. Hustlin's in trouble too. Wunder's got the first kill. He's taken Knight down. SmittyJ, the front line is killed as well. The rest of Splyce, they turn their attention to Baron. That might be the play that opens up the game for Splyce.
Giants trying to force the Baron was such a big mistake, but look at Maxlore, he might go for the steal.
He might indeed, can pounce over the wall. Smite is available as well. Bubble catches Trashy. Baron down to 800. It's picked up by Giants. They've got the Baron, but the problem is they've lost 3 members. Can they defend their base if Splyce decide to push?
Oh my word, Giants, they needed that Baron steal to stay alive in the game, and Maxlore, the hero that Giants need, just able to get it. Unbelievable that Giants are still in this game.
Let's take a look once again at the setup. Remember, Giants had pushed Splyce away, and then the team fight breaks out.
So Giants, they tried to force the Baron, even with the Elder Dragon still alive, and because of the positioning of Knight, he is forced to use that Zhonya so early on. So when the rest of Splyce finally join the fight, he quickly gets deleted, and he is a big part of your late game damage. But just have a look at the steal from Maxlore. He goes in a little bit too early. Splyce tried to stop dealing damage, but it's just not enough. Maxlore goes to the Q. A bit of extra damage is enough for him to get the smite down, and then he's able to get the steal. And now with the Baron, they might be able to hold on long enough to find another avenue back into the game.
To find another potential team fight, another potential win-lose moment. Vedius, 43 minutes, 77,000 gold to 74,000. Thanks to Sencux being involved in all of these fights. He's got 18 stacks on that Medjai's. He'd upgraded it before the previous team fight.
Oh, he does.
Yes. So very, very close to 25, very close to that additional movement speed. Another GA for Trashy, Hourglass for Maxlore as well. Oh.
Or not.
Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that.
Well, well, hopefully for Maxlore, no one on Splyce saw that, because that is a big cooldown that he's now no longer going to have available to him. And if he wants to be aggressive, diving onto the backline, that is definitely a valuable summoner spell to have. But have a look at this. Double GA now finished for Splyce.
Teleports from Wunder coming in behind Giants. We've got to go quiet voice. Knight catches himself a fish, goes Hourglass to dodge the damage. Wonderway, he's Ragnarok down. They've already killed Knight, one of the big damage components for Giants. SONSTAR's running for his life. Will take down Sencux as he backs away. The culling, culls Splyce. Trash is in trouble. SONSTAR dashes over the wall. There's GAs to burn through, and SONSTAR's not got enough life. It's a triple kill for Kobbe. He's looking for more. Hustlin's running for his life. It's a quadra kill for Kobbe. Where is SmittyJ? Kobbe can't find him. He'll have to be content with that. That could be game.
It certainly could be. Those are long death timers, but that is a long way to run for Splyce. I think that they're just going to prioritize the 2 inhibitors. You saw the pings come down on the map, and right now they just want to get as much control over this game as possible, because Giants are putting up a hell of a fight for Splyce to close out this game.
20-second death timers for Maxlore, for Knight, for Hustlin. Trashy's left alone. Trashy's got the support of Splyce to push into the base. Inhibitor middle, inhibitor bottom are under threat. But how much more can Splyce take? Will they commit to the Nexus turrets? I don't think so right now.
I think the smart thing is to just take the objectives back away. You now have so much more control. Giants are going to be forced to stay in their base, but when they had the Baron, they should have been doing that anyway. Just look at the positioning of Giants. They're just asking to be collapsed upon. Again, they're not respecting the double teleports that they have fallen prey to so many times. Using that very early Zhonya's from Knight results in a very easy pickup, and SONSTAR looks to be the potential hero of this fight, but unfortunately he just doesn't have the damage to be able to deal with that tanky front line. And then Kobbe, who's just been doing so much work on the back line, is able to pick himself up a quadra kill and another teamfight win for Splyce.
Very important win, and I think the most effective use of teleport from Splyce. Wunder comes running from way downtown. Look at that damage. Sencux catching Knights with Chum the Waters was such a big, impactful spell.
Yeah.
Early Hourglass means Knights can't use those soldiers. And Splyce are now looking to take 1 more inhibitor turret to finish out this game.
0 damage from Knight in that fight. That's definitely what you want, not what you want from your mid laner at 45 minutes into the game.
Definitely not from your Azir 45 minutes in. A champion who can potentially, arguably, deal the most teamfight damage in the right positioning.
But this is what we've seen from Giants multiple times. They have the mechanics as individuals, but as a team, they seem to just make the wrong decisions. And right now, just have a look at the map. Sencux, he's splitting down the bottom lane. He does have his teleport, and Giants, they have to concede this turret.
And there's nobody that can contest him. Hourglass, Void Staff, only 12 stacks on that Soul Stealer, because of course he did go down. Super Minions being dealt with by SmittyJ's Maokai, and SONSTAR, whoo, just sidestepping the chain. Hustlin should go down here. Chum the Waters deals a lot of damage. He manages to get the tidal wave out, somehow stays alive. Trashy all of a sudden, his GA's popped. He's gonna get taken down. There's Super Minions on the Nexus turrets. Will they get enough damage? I do not think so. And Splyce, small mistakes there, looking for kills instead of the objectives.
That was hyper over-aggression from Splyce, and this late into the game, you can't afford to be making those mistakes. Investing that many resources into trying to kill Hustlin is not what you want to be doing. For some reason, Splyce just give away a big kill over the Giants, and I mean, this is not what I was expecting. Look at all this. One big ultimate used from Sencux. They even threw an exhaust down onto him to try and get that kill, and that just results in Giants easy getting the collapse, taking the GA from Trashy, and now that's going to buy him time to weather the storm.
That's the biggest thing. Buying time. Those inhibitors are a little bit over 50% of their cooldown away from respawning. Baron's up in a minute. The next Elder Drake is up in 2 minutes. And Giants can win a team fight. They have the potential to do so on the assumption they are not jumped on first. That Soul Stealer was sold, and there's now a death cap for Sencux. How much AP does he have?
A lot.
637.
Yeah, a lot. Banshee's Fel has also been picked up by both the supports, so they want to be able to avoid that potential pick potential that Splyce have available on their lineup. SmittyJ has decided to pick his own Guardian Angel up. Not quite as terrifying as Wunder's, but what it's going to do is keep Kobbe preoccupied for longer, and that's all Giants need. They just need time. As long as they can kill Sencux, that is the win condition that Giants have so desperately been looking for to finally win a fight and finally break into the base of Splyce.
And some bigger challenges as well as far as warding is concerned. Losing inventory slots, losing access to as many pinks as you may want. Taking a look at the mini-map, Wunder's in trouble.
His ult is now down.
Forced to Ragnarok away. It's only about 40 seconds till it's available again. It's not the longest of cooldowns, but there is that window of opportunity where Giants could pull the trigger. Smitty was sitting on the fountain, so not going to opt into the teleport play, and Maxlore again eats a death sentence.
He's eating a lot of death sentences this game. Have a look at Sencux. He's sitting on the base. Oh, decided not to go for the play. But right now, he is sitting on an influx of gold. These CS differentials mean absolutely nothing. The gold at this point means absolutely nothing. It's all about execution from both these teams right now. One small mistake, one amazing play will determine which of these two teams is going to take the first game of this series.
I love that you just said that. The first game in this best of two. There is still another match, another game rather, to follow this. And Splyce, they are the ones that have started off Baron. Support's coming in. Look at this. Double home guard teleport.
Here we go.
Both the triggers being pulled. SmittyJ's joining the fight as well, but he might just be too late. Here comes Wunder. He's looking for two. Knight throws down Empress Divide, but Wunder and Sencux don't care. They dive over the wall. They've already got SONSTAR. Knight's thrown himself into the middle of the fight. 2,000 hit points as he continues to get targeted down. Wunder is forced into his GA, as is SmittyJ. Knight goes down. There's no more damage for Giants. Splyce should be able to clean this one up. It's a kill for Kobbe. Flash away from Hustlin. Death sentence won't find him, but it doesn't matter. 4 members of Giants are down, and Splyce, they turn their attention to the base.
Clean team fight coming out from Splyce, and that's all they needed to do. Get the double teleport out, bait Giants towards the Baron, and it was just an easy collapse coming out from Splyce to solidify themselves the team fight win, and likely first game of this best of two.
Splyce are onto the Nexus turret, tanking up the lasers. The minions are not there with them. It'll take some time, but it really is only a matter of time. Trashy can't deal with the slows and the CC of Hustlin's Nami, as Wunder is going to go onto the Nexus turret. Take a look at this. Down to 1,000 HP. Chum the waters just to prevent any potential as Hustlin gets caught by the death sentence. The Nexus is being focused, and after 51 crazy, chaotic minutes, Splyce pick up the first win.
Woo! What a game. That was really enjoyable to watch. 51 minutes, very back and forth. Use of the teleports was good and bad at multiple times throughout the game. But still, it was an exciting game to watch, and I feel like one of the tensest that we've had here in Europe.
The longest time for the first dragon to be taken, the second longest game of the summer split so far. And I think a lot of shot calling question marks were raised to this game. I liked SmittyJ's teleports. I felt Giants were using him correctly. I disliked almost all of Splyce's teleports until 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It just felt like they were able to finally make it work, but it took so long.
And for me, it was the Baron plays that really did decide the game, because we saw the first one come out from Giants.
Yeah.
Yes, it was smart. Your vision control was good. The Spidey sensors came out from Splyce. They read what was going on, and they reacted, and then Giants couldn't respond. Just the collapse from Splyce was too good.
Yeah.
Giants panicked. They gave away 5 kills. Not too bad. And then the next setup for the next few Barons, it was just, if Splyce started, it went wrong. If Giants started, it went wrong. And really, that Baron was a big decider in who came out ahead in that game.
Whoever made the call to start the Baron was wrong. We'll find out whether or not the analyst desk agrees. Let's head over there now.